Well, welcome to Chome Sports News Chanel. Don't forget to subscribe. Mikel Arteta aims to master new Arsenal technique as Declan Rice risk hangs over Brighton win. Arsenal's 3-0 win over Brighton returned them to the top of the Premier League table, but Mikel Arteta still faced some questions over his decision-making. A good win against a good team is exactly the way to set yourself up for a big challenge. And Arsenal's 3-0 away win at Brighton was exactly that. Goals from Bukayo Saka, Kai Havertz and Leandro Trossard showed exactly the quality that the Gunners have, and against a side who had lost just one home game all season and taken points off title rivals Liverpool at the Amex. Mikel Arteta will have been delighted, albeit perhaps still frustrated, that despite winning 10 of the last 11, the only draw being against Manchester City, he could still be sent back down to second should Liverpool win at Manchester United later today. "We're going to have to play Aston Villa at home, and that's going to be a really tough match," he said. "We've won 10 and drawn one of the last 11, and we're not top of the league. It's like, come on, but that's the level." With that in mind, Football.London takes a look back at the game to provide our successes and frustrations from the clash. With wins so comprehensive, the challenge of finding both sides can be tough, but it is always constructive, which brings only more optimism. Successes: Kai Havertz scores again. His highest scoring Premier League season has arrived after Havertz scored his 9th goal of the campaign, and it was perhaps the easiest finish of the lot. That said, his movement and effort throughout the game, and particularly for his goal, were sublime. He didn't stop running all game and showcased some of his best work in both defensive and offensive thirds. His assist for the 3rd goal is yet another example of how he has come on leaps and bounds after starting the season playing it too safe at times. He is full of confidence. He goes into the biggest game of Arsenal's European history of the past decade as their starting striker against the German champions, with his side the favourites to progress. A testament to both him and his manager for unlocking his talents once again. Change is good. Mikel Arteta made 4 changes from the team that beat Luton Town in midweek, a side which itself had 5 changes from the side that drew with City. Rotation had been something which the Gunners' boss has been scrutinized for in the past, but with 5 goals across the 2 games in which many changes were made, it has shown his capacity to evolve. Furthermore, Gabriel Martinelli came on as a substitute, meaning he can start against Bayern with plenty of energy still in the tank. Thomas Partey was unused should Arteta wish to start him next week, and he was able to take off Bukayo Saka and Gabriel Jesus early in the second half too. Bring it Bayern. Arsenal needed a strong performance to gain further momentum going into their midweek challenge. Meanwhile, Bayern Munich all but surrendered the Bundesliga title to Bayer Leverkusen after they blew a 2-goal lead against Heidenheim despite using a near full-strength team. Thomas Tuchel opted not to rest any of his key stars. Harry Kane started alongside Serge Gnabry and both scored, but Jamal Musiala, Thomas Muller, Joshua Kimmich and company couldn't stop the home side from turning the scoreline around in the second half. Tuesday night is now set up to be quite the occasion, with expectation from fans going through the roof. Supporters are expectant of a win, and not a close one. Let's see what happens. Frustrations: it could have been more. Arsenal should have been up by 3 in the opening 30 minutes were it not for some poor finishing from Saka and Jesus and the heroics of Verbruggen. The Gunners had opportunities and sadly didn't take them, which in all honesty is not the usual policy this season. Mikel Arteta's side are ranked as one of the best converters of chances in the league, with only Newcastle placing higher. Liverpool are way down in mid-table for this specific stat, with a huge number of shots per game but the goals somewhat lacking. On another day, Arsenal may have been dealt a tough lesson and ended up ruining those opportunities. Thankfully, today was not that day, and the goals came in the second half to boost the goal difference to new heights for the season. Did he need to play all game? There are only so many substitutions that a manager can make, but at times I cannot help but think why some players are not taken off sooner. Arsenal's 2nd goal of the game came in the 62nd minute, the 3rd late on in the 86th, yet Declan Rice still played the entire game. Martin Odegaard and Havertz were taken off only after the 3rd goal was scored. Arteta deserves huge praise for the improvements in effective rotation, but I cannot help but think about how at 5-0 up at halftime against Sheffield United, Saka was forced off with an issue, and the next change didn't come until the 64th minute when Martinelli came off with an injury which would see him miss the next 2 games. Make the changes sooner and give players more rest, especially with players like Partey now available. To think of the form Arsenal have had since the turn of the year, winning every league game bar the draw away at the Etihad Stadium, which in itself is hugely impressive. Yet despite that, they remain at the mercy of their historic rivals Manchester United to do them a favor today against Liverpool. United truly embarrassed themselves against Chelsea, conceding 4 with 2 coming after the 8th added minute of stoppage time in the second half. That is what Arteta will be kneeling and praying to see stop their rampant title challengers. To be fair to Erik ten Hag, who has said their anger from the defeat in London this week will fuel their game with Jurgen Klopp, they have beaten Liverpool once at Old Trafford already this season, knocking them out of the FA Cup last month. Let's hope they now deliver a title race blow to their old rivals. Thanks for visiting us and don't forget subscribe, like, share and comment.